What is up, everybody? My name is Scott Waters, and welcome to No Light to Metal. Going to be doing a compilation. I don't know what you call these things. They were started by Renee from Spain, Holspa Metal, a long time ago, and I was talking to Aaron, the metal theologian, recently, and he decided he was going to do a video like this, kind of playing off one of Renee's old videos. So I told him I was going to do one too, basically taking a compilation and showing stuff from the different bands that are on that compilation, you know, that came out since this compilation, or stuff you have in your collection. So yeah, I thought I'd do, and I ran it by him to see what he thought, the California Metal compilation. This was kind of like the metal blade of Christian metal. So I know some people don't like Christian metal, so if you don't like that, you know, turn it off. You know, to me it's all metal, so I know I like metal. There you go. But yeah, California Metal. So this was a really important compilation. It came out in 1987, and it was kind of put together by Pastor Bob Beeman out of Sanctuary in California, along with the Elefante brothers, or the Pachyderms. And you may know, I think it was it Dino Elefante or John? I always mix the two up. One of the two was a singer in Kansas for a while, and so they were involved in this too. They were involved in doing the production and some other things. So ridiculously goofy 80s cover art, which I love. People who can say how cheesy it is, but I think it's just fun. So anyhow, so you've got, let me just go over some of these bands. So you've got on the backside here, you can see the first band on there, Barren Cross. Now Barren Cross by 1987 were already an established band, so they actually had some stuff out before this compilation. It wasn't really their introduction to the world. They had this EP out, which was self-released. There's actually two different versions of this EP. There's a white version with blue lettering, and then there's this blue version with white lettering. And then they also had on Star Song, they had their first album, Rock for the King. These were already out by the time that California Metal came out. This is 86. This, I believe, was 86 or 85. So, and then the song on here is called Deadlock, which showed up on their first album for Enigma Records. And this was 1987, was it? 88. So this was after this. So yeah, 1988. Just great, straightforward heavy metal. Very good band out of California. Not poppy at all. You know, not that kind of LA strip metal. Just straightforward metal. They get likened to Iron Maiden a lot. And while I don't really hear it musically, I can understand where people come from vocally, because Mike Lee kind of has that Bruce Dickinson sound to his voice. It's just straightforward metal, and it's very, very good. As a matter of fact, Deadlock's a great song. There's not a bad song on here, in my opinion. Imaginary Music, Killers of the Unborn, In the Eyes of the Innocent, Terrorist Child, Close to the Edge, Deadlock, Cultic Regimes, Heaven or Nothing, King of Kings, and Living Dead. I remember I used to hear this one back in the day on Z-Rock every once in a while, too. So, like I said, Enigma Records, 1988. Barren Cross. Let's see what else is on here. Deliverance, probably, yeah, they were probably the band that had the biggest success from this one. Deliverance put out their, let's see, I just had it here. Here it is. This came out the same year, 1987. This was their Greeting of Death demo, but these demo songs aren't on this particular album. There's two songs on here: A Space Called You and Attack, and there was a vinyl reissue, which I should have grabbed and showed it, but of Greeting of Death that was put out with both those songs on there. But what did come out in 1989 was their full-length album. This is a reissue on, well, it's actually on my label, No Light to Metal, as well as Rocks. It was a co-release. Yeah, just, again, this is thrash. This is speed metal. This is, actually, I'm even wearing the shirt. That was not intentional. Anyhow, I love this album. It's one of my all-time favorite albums. Glenn Rogers is on here. Glenn, who is pictured right there, went on to play in bands like Heretic and Hyrax and Steel Vengeance and several other bands. But you're going to see there's some, Glenn Rogers actually has a big, important role in a lot of these bands. You'll see a couple other releases from this that he was a part of too. So, but anyhow, this was their first album. Their second album, which I didn't grab because I'm just trying to keep it to what came out right after it. Weapons of Our Warfare was probably still to this day is their most successful album. It did get a lot of MTV airplay back in the time for the title track, and even Lars Ulrich held it up at one point and on MTV, saying it was one of his favorite songs and favorite videos. So it did really well for them, and it is a great record as well. Okay, Deliverance, A Space Called You to Attack. And next up with Guardian. Now this was, let's see, 1988 was this one, I think. This is their first full-length album. Again, on Enigma Records. This was First Watch. Actually, this is one of those bands that I was kind of into early on, and I can't remember if it was because of this compilation. I think it might have been, and I think I wrote to them based on this compilation. So before this came out, I was getting their newsletter, and I still have all these things. This is how goofy I am. I keep all this stuff in plastic envelopes. But this is a newsletter that was announcing, let's see what it says on here, First Watch 3 weeks away. So it's just talking about that album coming out. And then I also actually have the original Enigma Records, I don't know what promotional sheet and promotional photo from that album. This one. This is actually, and I did actually at one time have two different pressings of this. I had the Enigma version and then the Roadrunner version. My Enigma version was sealed, so I ended up trading it off or selling it and just keeping my European import version on Roadrunner Records. But yeah, this is a very different album from what they became. Again, it's very straightforward heavy metal, much more towards the LA sound, you know, a little more glitzy, glamoury. It's got the clean vocals, the big, huge hooks. Oz Fox from Stryper fame, I think it was Oz, right? Almost positive it was Oz Fox from Stryper fame, did the production on this and worked with these guys on polishing up this material. So, you know, if you like Stryper, chances are you're probably going to dig Guardian. It's going to get that kind of vibe going on to it. So, very great. It's a great album. I loved it since the day it came out. The funny thing is my favorite song from this era is not even on here. It's a song called Warfare. It was actually on, let's see, was it even on here? Yeah, it is. So, that's my favorite song from them. It's on here. So, Guardian, Spiritual Warfare. They followed up and they ended up getting a new vocalist with more of a bluesy, raspy vocals. This is their follow-up album, Fire and Love. And again, this album, kind of like Weapons of Our Warfare, kind of pushed these guys to bigger and better things. So they might have been as successful, if not more successful, than Deliverance were actually. They ended up on Epic Records, big major label. So this is actually a reissue of their Epic album, Fire and Love. This is from Retroactive from a few years ago. That album, like I said, it's a little different, a little bluesier, a little more gritty. I don't know, almost like a gritty Bon Jovi kind of sound on that Fire and Love album. So, next up, I put the album away. Where'd it go? So we've got Barren Cross, Deliverance, Guardian, Hero. Hero was the next band. I don't have anything from Hero. They didn't really do anything. They never had a full-length album. They never signed to a label, which is kind of hard to believe because every other band on this album signed to a label of some sort and put out a full-length album. Now, Hero was another band that featured on guitar Glenn Rogers. Glenn left Hero to join Deliverance, and then left Deliverance to join Steel Vengeance. In between all that time, he was also in another band from LA that I'll get to talk about very soon as well. So, yeah, they were kind of huge hair, big hooks. Kind of Dokken-ish in their sound, not like Poison style pop metal, but more like a Dokken or a Rat style pop metal. Just very good stuff from Hero, but this is all I really have from them. They did have some demos, of course, but they never released a full-length album. Anyhow, this is I got Sing It Out and I Surrender. Next up, Mastodon. Okay, I have their stuff on CD. I didn't pull it. Mastodon is kind of an oddball band on here because they weren't really even a band. It was a project of John and Dino Elefante, who put this whole thing together, and they did end up putting out 2 or 3 albums, but I mean they were never a band. It was always a project of the Elefantes, and I'm sure it was like one of those kind of deals. Oh, we'll work on this, we'll do this. We'd like to put our own song on there. So they they weren't like this band that was out there in the clubs like a lot of these other bands were, pounding the pavement and selling their music. They were a project band. It's a good song, What About Me, which is on here, and then the 2 follow-up albums that came up after this, they were good. Very clean-sounding, poppy, hard rock, heavy metal, whatever you want to call it. AOR, that's what I would describe it as, but yeah, anyhow, I don't have any of their stuff on vinyl, so I just didn't bother even pulling it out, but Last band on here has 2 songs: Neon Cross's "Son of God" and I Need Your Love. I love the song "Son of God" on this album. It's just fantastic. But they released their full-length album here on Regency Records, 1988, self-titled Neon Cross album. And it's just great stuff. It's just, again, straightforward metal. Now, this is not poppy at all. This goes more along the lines of Barren Cross or early Guardian. You know, it's just straightforward heavy metal, very good stuff. David Raymond Reeves has this great voice that kind of reminds me at times of David Coverdale, where just, you know, the guy's just like a, I don't say crooner, but he just has like this powerhouse voice. And yeah, fantastic, very good band. And this is their first full-length album, and it was their last for a long time. They actually recorded a second album after this in a similar style that apparently has never been released to this day, but was recorded, and I would love to hear that album, because even the demo material from this stuff is fantastic. Matter of fact, Girder Records is releasing this album on CD with a lot of the demos and stuff that came around this time that are just fantastic. So Girder Records has that coming out on CD. Yeah, good stuff. Neon Cross. I'd love to hear that second record. They did put a second album out officially, but it was a stylistic change. It was the 90s. It was more, I don't say grungy. People called it that, but it was more like, to me, it was just more organic sounding. It was less metal and more Led Zeppelin-y, you know, more earthy, hard rock. Either way, David Raymond Reeves, just, where's his picture at? Right here. The guy can sing, so for doing that Led Zeppelin sort of style stuff, he was great doing that, and he's great doing this straightforward metal as well. Then Don Webster here's a guitar player, great guitar player, really nice guy too. I've met him, actually shared a stage with him a few times. So there you go. That is the California Metal 1987 release on Regency Records. Great stuff, great compilation, very worth picking up if you can find a copy cheap. I know I discovered all these bands off of this compilation, so was an important compilation for me. So there you go. Next up, I'm going to do California Metal 2, but I'm going to cut this one here, and I'll get into that one shortly. So God bless. Stay strong.